Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Joining me in studio today, technical producer Jonathan Voico.
We're the future, John, not them.
Writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett.
Are you walking around? I am walking around in your mind, even though you're wearing that helmet.
And most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of topics we got lined up for you guys. And then in the second part of the show, well, that's when we take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or a question or a topic you'd like us to discuss, go ahead and throw it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. Now, here's the good news about the tip link. It's actually good and working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you happen to be listening to this show on a podcast feed, say either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching this show a little bit later in the day when we're not live, you can still send in a question whenever you want. And if you send one in when we're not streaming live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode, provided we deem your question appropriate to be addressed on our show. All right. That down, guys. Let's get into our big main story today. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are getting married, and the world rejoiced. And we're going to spend the next 3 hours breaking down the proposal, the ring, and how all the Swifties are rejoicing. No, we're not going to talk about that at all. But congratulations to the couple. That's pretty cool. One little bit of how... Oh, you had something to say about that?
You know what? What I was going to say was deeply cynical. And in these dark times, John, I just want to wish the couple the best, even though I can't wait for that divorce record. Oh, sorry.
The breakup album.
Oh, I can't wait. No,
that's
I'm
going to be her biggest hit.
In all honesty, if they don't, what did they tweet out? The captain of the football team and the cheerleader.
No.
What was it?
Your English teacher and your gym teacher
are getting married.
I
think. Look,
if they're nice tweet.
This is the ultimate American couple, and I think it's a representation of hopes and dreams for all of us. Like, I could never afford to buy an engagement ring for my lady, but you know what? God bless him.
Somebody in the live chat said Rob is going to buy the Wedding 4K Special Edition disc.
Oh, I absolutely 100%. He's
going to have that on his collection.
Steelbook.
All right, guys, listen. One little bit of housekeeping we got to take care of before we get into the stuff. I want to remind you that the movie meetups are continuing, and here is our upcoming schedule. There are more cities coming, and there will be announced, but for right now, the next little leg of the movie meetups is going to be Thursday, September the 11th in Albuquerque, where we're going to see the 6:30 p.m. screening at the Regal Windrock of The Thing. By the way, I just looked. All the tickets are sold out except for the front row. So if you are in Albuquerque and still want to come to that, go to Regal's website and get your tickets fast, because the only tickets left are now the front row. Then on Friday, September 12th, we're going to be in Denver, or at least in Littleton, right beside Denver, at the AMC Highlands Ranch 24 for the long walk at 7:40 p.m. I don't think tickets have gone on sale for that yet, but just keep your eyes open on the AMC website for when those become available. The next night, we're going to be in Salt Lake City, Utah on Saturday, September the 13th at the Megaplex Gateway, where we are going to see the 6:10 p.m. screening of Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
I heard that's good.
What's that?
I heard that's good.
I've heard it's not bad. I heard this Peter Jackson might have a future.
Decent, yeah.
And then the next night, we will be in Las Vegas on Sunday, September 14th at the AMC Town Square for a 7:10 p.m. screening of The Long Walk. And there's a rumor Robert Meyer Burnett might be there.
Could be.
Maybe. Hopefully we can work that out.
Who knows?
There we go.
All right, guys. And we look forward. And by the way, if you want to, what are these movie meetups? It's just simple. We just go to a movie that's at a theater. It's not a private booking or anything. And if you want to come to the same screening, then I'll hang out for 45 minutes or an hour in front of the theater afterwards. We can all chat and talk and meet and take pictures, whatever. And we've already done it in Phoenix and San Diego, and we had a great time, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys as well. All right. With that down, guys, let's get things started off with this. Had a pleasant little surprise this morning. One of, I think, the absolute best Marvel Cinematic Universe movies that have come out since Avengers Endgame. I think the best is probably Shang-Chi, But right up there, Deadpool and Wolverine. But right in that conversation, one of the best ones they put out, because they put out some pretty damn mediocre ones and not so good ones, but is Thunderbolts. I loved this movie. I really did. And I have to admit, you guys who watch the show know, when they first announced it, I was like, what are they doing? Who's going to care about a movie full of B and C list characters? Some of them based in Marvel Disney Plus shows that nobody watches. And then I saw the movie and I absolutely love it. I think it's one of the smarter films they've done in a long time. I had a great time with it. Well, it had a big, long theatrical run, despite the fact that it didn't do so great at the box office. Made about one Black Adam. But the movie was spectacular nonetheless. And it is now available on streaming. Finally, after months and months and months of waiting, Thunderbolts, as of right now, is on Disney Plus. And I can tell you for damn certain that I believe Peacemaker is on tonight. But after that, I'm going to watch Thunderbolts again because I haven't had a chance to watch it at home yet. And I'm excited about it. And Rob, it's two really interesting pieces of info here. Number one, I'm so glad it's going to be available to watch at home now. And,
sure.
and I'm really excited about watching it again. But number two, I love that despite the fact that Disney leads the way in a lot of mistakes in the film industry, sometimes they lead the way in doing the right things and like not rushing this movie out onto streaming, giving it despite the fact that it wasn't one of their big money makers, quite the contrary, but they still gave it a long theatrical window, a long theatrical run. And now it's out on streaming. And I think it's probably going to become the number one movie. But at any rate, Rob, you heard this. What's your takeaway from it?
Well, I already have the 4K disc.
Oh, of course you do.
Look, I think the fact is once something goes on streaming, everybody that passed over it in the theater gets to see it now. And I think a lot more people are going to discover how good this movie really is. And I think in a way, you know, the same thing's going to happen to Fantastic Four. And I'm hoping, look, I want Avengers Doomsday to be awesome. I want my body equivalent when I see that movie, the same way it did during Infinity War and Endgame. And I'm hoping that maybe with Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four leading into Spider-Man, leading into Avengers, that maybe people will get, you know, excited about the MCU again, because Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four are legitimately good movies. I think they deliver the goods, and more importantly, they succeeded in accomplishing what they set out to accomplish. Whereas a movie like Captain America: Brave New World doesn't really do that because it was sort of cobbled together, and like we've talked about, it's an Incredible Hulk sequel, and it's not a Captain America movie, and it should have been. So I like the fact that, you know, I think a lot of people, Thunderbolts is a movie that if you haven't seen it, it'll probably surprise a lot of people because of what it's about and how it's presented. And it has a lot to say. And it's just different than any other Marvel movie.
It's truly a character-driven story.
Yes.
It really is. And everything else, like the superheroics of it all, play a secondary role in it. And they're great, but I just love the way they dove into the characters.
Me too. And I loved seeing the Sentry.
Yeah.
I know Rayor did too.
Yeah. And they did him well.
They did him well.
And so I'm going to look forward to seeing what they do with him in the future. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Are you going to put Thunderbolts on your viewing schedule tonight? I know maybe I'll even watch it before Peacemaker Season 2, because I don't think Peacemaker comes out till like 9 o'clock. But whatever, I know I'm going to be watching it today. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's go on to this. Well, yesterday, you know what? I keep thinking today's Thursday. So that's why I was saying Peacemaker later tonight.
Right.
Tomorrow is Thursday.
Yes.
I keep thinking today's Thursday. Okay, anyway.
Today's surprise day.
Today is surprise day.
Anything can happen, and it usually does.
So yesterday being Tuesday meant that the new episode of Alien Earth dropped. Alien Earth episode 4, I believe it is, dropped. And listen, we're gonna talk about it here a little bit, and we're not gonna go too heavy into spoilers, but maybe some details that we slip here. So let's throw up onto the screen the little spoilers warning, just in case you missed it or haven't had a chance to watch it yet. But we'll probably go into some details here. And so once the spoilers, you might want to mute your computer. Once the spoilers, emblem is gone, then you can turn your audio back on. Rob, I'm not going to bury the lead. it was my favorite episode of sci-fi television I've seen in years. And for anybody, you hear me say that, you think, well, there must have been some big armies of men versus armies of aliens battle. No. I don't even think there was an action sequence. Well, there was one kind of an action sequence with a goat.
As my friend Ellie texted me, those poor sheep.
That poor sheep. One of the things I said when the first 2 episodes of Alien Earth dropped was, I love the fact that it's not just this pure sci-fi action thing.
Right.
It's true sci-fi.
Yes.
Asimov kind of sci-fi, right? And last night, there are a couple of big scenes that are just conversations that had me enamored. Because I was talking to Jonathan Voico, one of the conversations that happens between a couple of the characters in it is an existential, philosophical, but practical question. Is that robot Wendy? Is that actually her? Or is it not her anymore, just a copy of whatever she was? And I was telling Jonathan this morning when I came in, that is a question I've caught myself wondering about before. Like when watching certain sci-fi things about, well, let's say you could transfer your consciousness into a machine or a computer, whatever. Is that actually you? Or did you just actually die, but they made some kind of copy, and the copy, that's not you though. That's just a copy of you. It's not you. Or is it you? Then we started talking about Star Trek and, being somebody.
Wait. You started what?
Yeah, I am the one who brought up Star Trek today. So
wow.
About like when they beam you up, is that actually you? Or is this computer breaking down what you are into digital information and then recreating you on the other end?
There's a couple of great essays online about that very topic.
And I just love that they decided to dive into it. They embraced that conversation between not 2 of the main characters. 2 secondary characters had this incredible conversation, and I was like completely wrapped up into it. And then when it comes to the stuff about the sheep, look, the fight between Wendy and the xenomorph was great, but there's something about that fucking sheep just staring at everybody through the glass that was creepy as hell. Like that sheep just standing there and looking at them. I couldn't move. Like I'm on my couch. I'm like, oh my, like what the hell's going to happen? What is going through that sheep's mind?
I would imagine something not good.
No, not happy thoughts, not pleasant. How can I serve this person today? No, nothing like that.
You could say he might have had bad thoughts.
That's pretty good. Come on. That's good.
Oh, jeez.
We're the future, John.
Bad intentions. So, and then, by the way, I forget the character's name, Timothy Oliphant's character.
Kirsch.
Oh my God. Like Kirsch has got some stuff going on, right?
Yeah.
Like he's like, what is he going to do about the kid? Like he can hear the conversation, but he's not seem to be doing anything. But what's going on with that? And then the frickin' thing with the lung, and then the snake charming with the alien. And like, there was so much in this episode. If it wasn't for the fact that I needed to watch the next episode of Dexter, I probably would have just rewatched that episode again. I absolutely loved it. And there wasn't even any action in it, which is crazy. And yeah, man, I just was completely in love with the episode. Rob, I know you've been you and I haven't talked about it yet. I know you've been really enjoying the series so far. What did you think about episode 4?
Well, like you, I mean, I find the ambition of what this series it's interesting because it seems to be like, obviously 20th Century Studios is combining the Alien and Predator franchises again, but in a more realistic way, as we know from Alien Badlands or Predator Badlands coming out. They can't do that with Replicants because that's owned by Warner Brothers, but they're still going back to Ridley Scott. I mean, to me, this is the great distillation of the 2 things that were going on in Ridley Scott's movies. The Alien movies always had artificial intelligence. You had Ash in the original Alien, you had Bishop, and then, of course,
David.
Cloning and David and Alien Resurrection and Prometheus and all that. So I really love how, and by the way, this is probably our future. our future is
corporations take over
our
everything,
consciousness being and by the way, talk about Star Trek all the way back to the first season of Star Trek. What are little girls made of? This Dr. Corby, who they brought back in Strange New Worlds, created android duplicates and were downloading your personality into them so you could live forever. Just kind of like what's going on. That has been a science fiction trope, and it never gets old. Because the question that you brought up, are we still us?
Yeah, is that actually us?
Is it us? Is it a duplication? Like, what is that? So this show is combining all of these heady sci-fi ideas, including what happened to that sheep. Is that sheep? I mean, are we looking, is that eye creature an actual, like a brain cell? Is there real intelligence behind it? And is that intelligence malevolent? Is it benevolent? Is it just observing? Is it part of a bigger neural structure out in space somewhere? Who knows? It ain't good. I'll tell you what it is. It ain't good. But all of this stuff makes the show such heady, compelling viewing. And it's what great science fiction is supposed to do. It's supposed to be thought-provoking. It's supposed to start conversations between you and Magneto over here. I mean, that's what great sci-fi does. And we're so used to we seldom get great science fiction. And certainly lately. And this show, Noah Hawley, I would expect nothing less. He's working at an elevated level, the same way he did with Legion. And it's really cool to see. Now, I might have some problems with some of the mythology, because he's said in interviews, he's kind of, I don't care about Prometheus.
Yeah.
I don't care about the engineers, which is great. I love that.
Which, by the way, Ridley Scott encouraged him to take that approach.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, like you, really compelling show. 4 episodes in, I'm like, I can't wait to see what happens next.
You know what? And I can't believe I almost forgot one of the other really super interesting things to me, as one of our viewers in the live chat referred to her as Timu Molly Ringwald droid, saying she's pregnant. Like, that's the other thing that they only touched on in episode 1, which is this is still the mind of a child at a developmental stage, now thrust into an adult's body in very adult situations. What's going to happen to that psyche? She's breaking. Despite the fact that she's a machine, she's breaking. And I'm like, I'm watching that scene and not quite as enthralled as I was with the discussion about, digital copying and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, oh my gosh, she going to kill her? Is she about to rip her head off? Is she about to do something else? And is that going to start playing out in the other kids? And so anyway, I really like the way AV Club on their site, the way they run the headline, Alien Earth, pressure cooker is ready to pop. And that's what it feels like. You just feel like this pressure is building in this show. And it feels like any moment now, the whole thing's going to explode. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to watch Alien Earth episode 4? If so, what did you think about it? I personally loved it. Whatever your thoughts were, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to start taking some suggestions from you, because we're going to play a little game now of what's more likely. Of course, a little bit earlier today, we jumped on the community tab, the post tab on our YouTube channel, and we asked our viewers to present to us some what's more likely scenarios. So Jonathan's got them in front of him there. Jonathan, what do we got?
First up, we got Spider-Ham. What's more likely, Rob? The next K-pop Demon Hunters goes to theaters first, or they once again put it straight to Netflix because it's what worked the first time?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I want to say that it's more likely this time that they might give it a theatrical release. I'm going to say that because of the success they had with it. And if Sony's going to charge them more of an arm and a leg, maybe they'll want to recoup some cash. But that's only because I'd like to believe that it'll go theatrical. If they have anything that's going to make money, this would.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say it's more likely, even though I don't believe that's true.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you on this. I think it is more likely, by no means a slam dunk or automatic, but I think it's more likely. Again, every time Netflix has done the theatrical experiment, they keep getting the answers they don't want.
Yes.
Which is, oh, this works. It happens every time.
Every single time.
Oh, this works. And they don't want it to work, but it does. It goes against what one of their core driving principles is, which is screw movie theaters sort of thing. But
oh, go ahead.
To a point you made once before, it was like, whatever amount of money the movie makes in theaters is just free found money because they produce it with Netflix in mind. So any $1 million that they make in theatrical is bonus money to them at that point. And I mean, we're going to talk about the negotiations going on between Sony and Netflix a little bit later, but I've got to imagine with the massive success they had with just the one weekend with it, and with the upcoming negotiations with Sony, because Sony would have an interest in it hitting theaters first, I think it's more likely that it does actually get a theatrical. Again, I wouldn't guarantee it at all. It's very likely that it doesn't, but I think it's more likely that it will.
Another thing that I think Netflix has to be looking at is they've never had a musical hit before, where you've got music burning up the charts, multiple songs. I don't know how. How do you monetize things in the music business these days? I'm not aware. I don't know. But I would have to imagine that this is an extra component that Netflix doesn't usually get with their films. I mean, hell, if they produced a concert where they actually had the people that sang these songs to go out on the road, they could do a concert tour. That could make tens of millions of dollars.
It would rival the Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah, and I'm like, are you not going to do that? Because I would think, why wouldn't you? Of course, they've never produced live concert events, and when they have tried to do live things, they suck. But I mean, I would think you've got a revenue stream you didn't even know you had now. Yep. How are you going to exploit that? And if I was a Netflix shareholder, I'd want to know.
All right, what's next?
We got Shriji Patel, who says, John, what's more likely, Odyssey making $1 billion or Spider-Man making $2 billion, both released in July?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to say, I'm tempted to say it's more likely that Spider-Man makes $2 billion, but I'm going to say it's more likely that the Odyssey makes $1 billion. And the reason I'm going to say that is, look, Christopher Nolan's last film, which is not on paper, is not the kind of movie that people rush out to see. A period piece, biographical, whatever. And that came this close to being $1 billion film. In Oppenheimer, this close. Now you're going to be bringing the whole fantasy epic aspect into it with just as equally of a baller cast and all that kind of stuff. I think it's very likely that movie makes $1 billion. With Spider-Man Brand New Day, Spider-Man No Way Home did not hit the $2 billion mark. Came close, but it didn't do it. And when Spider-Man No Way Home came out, it was a much friendlier context and environment for it than now. We've had a lot of mediocre comic book movies. The overall enthusiasm for the films, because of the quality drop, has dropped. Our belief in the grand nature of these comic book films has lowered as a result of the declining quality. Now, Marvel's been turning it around. They put out 2 films in a row that I think have been quite good, and all kind of stuff. But I don't think there's any reason to believe that Spider-Man Brand New Day makes more money than No Way Home, especially since No Way Home came right off of Endgame as well. So I think it is more likely out of the 2 scenarios that that the Odyssey makes the $1 billion mark. Rob, what about you?
Look, I'm bequeathing a new nickname. You never bet against C-Note.
Yeah.
Because he always carries hundreds no matter where he's going. And C-Note, man, like I was going to say, you said it so eloquently. Oppenheimer almost made $1 billion. You're telling me that an epic poem that has cyclopses and sirens and all kinds of stuff is not going to make $1 billion? Don't bet against C-Note, man. I think he's going to take us right over the top. And I don't think a Spider-Man movie, despite the fact that you have the Hulk and the Punisher and Sadie Sink's mystery character or whatever the hell they're going to do, it's probably going to be fun. I don't see it doing the business Spider-Man No Way Home did.
Yes, I'm not even 100% sure that and it doesn't need to, but I'm not even 100% sure Spider-Man Brand New Day joins the $1 billion club.
Yeah,
no, I don't think so either.
I mean, if I had to bet $5, I would bet that it does make $1 billion, but that's not a guarantee either.
I don't think they're expecting it to.
No.
I think that this is a reboot of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies into a new era. So I'm betting on C-Note.
All right, what's next?
We got Platinum Angel. What's more likely, Rob? Disney gets bought by another company like Apple, or that Disney buys another studio like Universal or Warner?
I don't think Disney's going to get bought. I think that there's the problem with Disney getting bought is you're not just buying a studio and their library. You're buying theme parks. You're buying cruise ships. And unless you're interested in getting into that business, that the actual attractions business, I don't think Apple wants to bother with cruise ships or theme parks. I mean, they might. I think it's much more likely that Disney would buy another studio, even though I hope they don't.
I'm going to go the opposite of you on this. I think it's more likely that Disney gets bought, but I also want to put an asterisk on it. Remember, like Warner Brothers, what did they just do? They split their company in two.
Yep.
Right? What I could very easily see happen is that Disney spins off their movie and entertainment business, that they create two companies out of one. They create one company that is, because we've seen Google do this, we've seen others do this. They create one company that is Disney Experiences, which is their cruises, theme parks, like all that kind of stuff. And then they spin off their studios branch into something else. Now, at that point, to somebody like Apple that has firmly shown their commitment to want to develop their stuff, to suddenly snatch that up becomes very attractive. Now, the other reason I'm going to say I believe it is more likely that Disney gets bought, not that I'm saying they will get bought, I'm just saying it's more likely that they get bought than buying somebody else, is because they don't have the money to buy NBC Universal.
Right.
Like people like underestimate the value of Comcast. It's not like when Disney bought Fox. It would be exponentially a higher price tag than that. They simply can't buy them. They could buy Warner. That would be interesting. But even for Disney where they're at, all of a sudden a multi-billion dollar price tag. I don't know that they've just got that money hanging around that they can do that. They're not in the same position today that they were when they dropped $70 billion to buy Fox. So for all those reasons, I think anything's possible, but I think it would be more likely out of the two scenarios that Disney gets purchased rather than Disney doing any purchasing. But who knows? All right, what's next?
All right, last one up. Gregory says, John, what's more likely, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie making $750 million in box office or failing to hit that?
I think it's more likely that it fails to hit that. I listen, I'll be honest with you. I don't see any reason to believe that the Mandalorian movie will make $750 million. I'm not even 100% sure it makes $600 million. You're talking about a TV show that not everybody watched. I mean, everybody knows Baby Grogu, Baby Yoda. But I mean, and the fact of the matter is that that show did not end well. Season 3 was pretty much, even the people who liked season 3 will acknowledge it was a step down. And then you get people like me who I didn't think the season was good overall. Had moments. The season had moments that I liked, but overall it was kind of a downturn thing. Plus I still can't believe, Rob, we're living in a world where the first Star Wars movie on the big screen in 7 years is going to be an extended episode of a TV show. Now, hey, I love my boy, right? John Favreau. I'll never count him out, ever count him out. It's just that there's a lot working against it. And let's put it this way, Rob. If Mandalorian and Grogu made $750 million, I think the people at Lucasfilm and Disney got to pop bottles. I think they are dancing like it's 1999. But I just don't see it happening. I think it's more likely that it makes not just under 750, but I think well under 750. Anyway, Rob, what do you think?
I agree with you. I mean, it doesn't matter how great the Mandalorian and Grogu is. It's a side story. It's a Star Wars side story. I mean, the thing about the Mandalorian and Grogu is like the Mandalorian finished his job. He gave Grogu to Luke, and then they went back on that. And the third season of Mandalorian was all over the place. I'm like, I don't even care anymore. And so why am I supposed to care? Why am I supposed to care about the Mandalorian and Grogu? Why? What is it about them that's compelling to me? Whereas, if you're going to I'm more interested in finding out, especially after Andor, what does a starfighter pilot matter to the rebellion? I'm more interested in that. I'm more interested in seeing where Ryan Gosling goes.
Oh, I guarantee you Starfighter is going to make more money than Mandalorian.
100%.
100% it will.
just because I'm more interested in it. I mean, the Mandalorian and Grogu, it was even the weight of that show. It was not. It was fun to watch an episodic show, but I didn't dig it. I didn't love it to the point where I'm excited to see a movie. As a matter of fact, John, I'll go see it, but I'm not excited for it.
I'm definitely going to see it, but I'm with you. I'm like, look, if it were out tonight, would I be really looking forward to going to the movies tonight to go see it?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
But a year out, am I excited for this movie the way I'm excited for Avengers Doomsday or excited for Starfighter or excited for... No, I'm not. And that's... My whole life has been revolved around Star Wars, and I'm not that excited to see it. All right, guys, that will wrap up today's installment of What's More Likely. Thank you to everybody who sent in those scenarios. And guys, keep your eyes open on the channel for when we put out a call for questions and scenarios for either true or false, what's more likely, overreaction, whatever, and send in your stuff when we do the call for them. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, it has happened. Kpop Demon Hunter has become the #1 all-time movie on, at least original movie, on Netflix. And it did so as, I'm trying to get this all in line so I can run this up for you guys in a second. It did so in rather quick fashion. Now, it became a huge sensation. We have all talked, again, I've never had a movie that I don't even like that much that I've talked this much about on the show, but I love its success. I love its success, and I love the music in it.
I want these action figures on my shelf.
I mean, the designs of the characters are really cool. Again, this is clearly from the studio that gave us Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I want that yellow jacket. I'd wear that. They make a male version of that?
I would definitely not wear that yellow jacket myself.
I'd rock that. Come on.
So here it is. Now we have the brand new top 10 all-time most successful Netflix films. All right, here we go. At number 10, we have The Terrible Damsel. You're going to hear the word terrible associated with a lot of Netflix original films, but that's Netflix. But it is their number 10 most watched show with what they call 138 million views. At number 9, the absolutely horrendously terrible The Gray Man, with two of my favorite guys, Chris Evans and the good Canadian kid, Ryan Reynolds, with 130...
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling. Sorry, I always get the Ryans confused. At 139 million views. Again, completely terrible movie, unfortunately. At number 8, not a bad movie. Leave the World Behind. I think this is the Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts movie where the apocalypse starts to happen.
and the Obamas co-produced it. They were producers on it.
Oh, I totally forgot about
They were, and it's based on a pretty cool book.
Yeah, I didn't love this movie like some people did, but it's not, by Netflix standards, it's great.
Plus, it's probably going to come true.
And it's probably going to come true.
Watch out for those
I thought it was a pretty interesting movie. I kind of liked it. All right. The number 7 most popular movie on Netflix is The Terrible Back in Action.
Yeah, but it was. I love the cat. Come on, Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx.
I love Cameron Diaz. I love Jamie Foxx.
It wasn't good.
That doesn't make the movie good.
I like seeing them together, though.
I did too, and I like that Cameron Diaz came out of acting retirement for it. I like all of that, but it didn't equal a good movie. But 147 million views is its number 7 most popular movie of all time. At number 6, actually a pretty good movie. Bird Box. And that's funny because that movie came out forever ago, and it's still right up there. 157.4 million views. I've always heard whispers about maybe doing another one.
Yeah,
but I think it might be too late for them to do that. But you know what? Out of all the films on this list, that's my favorite one so far. At least the one that's not really terrible. But Bird Box, the number 6. Now we get into their top 5. At number 5, an actually pretty damn good movie, The Adam Project. I can't remember, did this come out before or after Free Guy? Of course, Free Guy, which Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy worked on together.
That's a good question.
I can't remember which one came out first. This one shocked me because, again, obviously I'm a big Ryan Reynolds fan and everything, but I didn't think this looked all that good. And it's terrific. and the kid, Walker Scobell, is that his name?
Yeah.
Who played young Ryan Reynolds, was perfection. He's now Percy Jackson, but he was absolutely perfect as that. It was a fun movie, much better than it had any business being, unlike another Ryan Reynolds film on this list, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So at number 5, most popular, The Atom Project. At number 4, we've got Don't Look Up. This is a movie that got a lot of Oscar attention, actually, and I don't think it's that good. But but I think it's quite good. I think, at least by Netflix standards, I think it is one of Netflix's best movies.
And it's got an incredible cast.
Oh, maybe arguably the single most stacked cast in history. And I got to say, the joke payoff at the very, very, very end, when she does the predictive algorithm, you'll die by blah, blah, blah. What the hell is that? And then at the very end of the movie, anyway, it's kind of fun. I like Don't Look Up. It's one of their better films that they've done on Netflix. And the cast certainly helped. 171 million views. At number 3, Carry On. You know, Jonathan and I were talking about Carry On earlier.
Yeah.
And he hasn't seen Carry On. And this is what I said about it. In the classical breakdown of the various components of what makes quality cinema, is Carry On very good? I said to Jonathan, no. It's actually not a very good movie, but it's pretty damn entertaining.
Yeah.
And I kind of had a ball watching it. And you know, I thought the cast was good. And apparently they're working on a sequel.
It's Temu Die Hard 2.
That's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I liked it.
And by the way, somebody I was about to say this too, but Black K00 said Jason Bateman as a villain. Loved Jason Bateman.
Yeah, I love Jason Bateman anyway.
Yeah, he was a really good villain. I didn't know if I'd be able to buy into him in that capacity, but he was great.
Do you know what? You know what I liked about that movie is it knew what its assignment was.
Yep.
And executed on it. There's that great driving scene when they're fighting in the car.
Yep.
You know, and
that was a really good put together scene.
Yeah, it was a really good put together scene. And you had a director who's made a lot of action movies and stuff. And is it highbrow? Is it high? No, it's not high art.
There are so many logic holes in this movie.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. If he's there, that couldn't possibly happen. And if that guy just said this, then there's a lot of logic holes in this movie.
Yeah,
that
but I
makes
still
no
like
sense. But I still had a good time with it,
I
man.
did too.
I had fun with it. So that's Carry On at number 3.
Yeah.
At number 2, what has for a while now been the number 1 movie on Netflix of all time, the two of my favorite guys, Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's absolutely terrible film, Red Notice. I'll say this. Green Lantern is a better Ryan Reynolds film than Red Notice. This is a horrible movie. Just an absolute...
I mean, Green Lantern, like half of it's really good.
I keep telling people, Green Lantern is not a good movie. Don't get me wrong. But it has elements.
I love seeing the Green Lantern Corps. I love seeing Oa. I love seeing the Guardians. There's so much in this. Half of it is really dumb.
Oh, it's such a... Whenever I bring up Red Notice, people are, but John, I thought you really liked Dwayne Johnson and Ryan Reynolds. I do, but that doesn't change
and
the
Martin
fact that
Campbell
it's a bad
directed
film.
it. The director of GoldenEye and Casino Royale. And No Escape.
It's just such a bad movie, and that was their number 1 thing. Again, so many of Netflix's original movies are so bad. But now, the brand new King of the Hill, or Queens of the Hill, if you want to put it that way, K-pop Demon Hunters, now becomes the number 1 all-time most viewed, most popular Netflix film with 236 million views on the platform. Not sure that made them any money. Actually, pretty sure it didn't, but it became a phenomenon, an absolute phenomenon, and I couldn't be more thrilled for their success. And look, I'm not a big fan of the movie overall. You know, I love the music and I love its success. But I at least like seeing that the number 1 film on the Netflix list is at least not a terrible film.
You can't
like
tell
Red
me you
Notice
wouldn't
was.
wear this jacket.
I would absolutely not wear that jacket.
Come on, dude. That jacket is dope.
No, you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of a jacket that Kid and Play would have worn in 1983.
Yeah, but if you had a modern motorcycle styling for men and use that same, I would wear that.
Now I just have visions of Kid
Dude, and
Play
not
doing
only
the
that-
Running Man in my head.
Not
So
only
thanks
that,
for
like
that.
people point at me and go, "That's the guy trying to be the cool grandpa and failing."
Cool crap. By the way, I've just
winning.
been given an update. Red Notice was actually directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber, who's
Yeah.
directed several.
I was talking about Green Lantern.
Oh, you were talking about Green
Yeah,
Lantern.
Green
Yes,
Lantern
yes,
was
yes.
directed by Martin Campbell.
There we go.
Yeah, Ron brings up a good point here, John.
What's that?
Vanilla Ice would have worn that in Cool as Ice.
Yes. Yes, he would have. And ask me in which ways I would like my life to mimic that of Vanilla Ice's.
Oh, come on.
Not many, other than the fact that sometime in my life, I want to be able to utter the words, yip, yip, she likes me. If I can say those words sometimes, or drop the zero and get with, sorry, let me rephrase. Drop the zero and get wit the hero, as Vanilla Ice put it in the best awful movie of all time, Vanilla Ice, Cool as Ice.
Nice.
It's not better than Stone Cold, dude.
Stone Cold. All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? It is now official. K-pop Demon Hunters has passed Leonardo DiCaprio, Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, Julia Roberts, Sandra Bullock, past everybody on Netflix's all-time most popular list, and K-pop Demon Hunters. This little Sony film is now the #1 all-time film on Netflix. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's stay on the topic of K-pop Demon Hunters here for a minute, shall we? You know, word came out a little while ago about the particulars of the deal between Netflix and Sony, and you'd think with such a massive global hit that Sony would have made out like bandits. Well, they didn't. Some reports said they got paid $20 million. Other reports are saying it was actually more than that. Some saying they got no rights to the music. Other reports are saying they did get some rights to the music. Whatever and what have you. Sony and nobody on the planet thought K-pop Demon Hunters was going to be as big of a hit as it was. And so they got, in hindsight, a less than terrific deal. Well, according to the Hollywood Reporter now, K-pop Demon Hunters sequel moving ahead as Sony and Netflix are now engaged in deal talks. And you know that Sony is going to be looking for more favorable terms this time around than before. But lest we think that Sony got, poor Sony, they didn't make any money on this, Hollywood Reporter points this out. There is a silver lining for Sony in this. When it comes to profit margins, a studio hopes for a range of 10% to 12% profit margin on a movie. In the case of Demon Hunters, Sony is looking at a 20 to 30% profit margin. Remember, Sony, while they made the movie, they didn't pay for it. They didn't pay for it. Netflix covered the entire $100 million production budget. And then they just gave Sony a fee to make the movie.
25%.
On top of covering all their expenses to make the movie. On top of all that, it says here in the report that Sony also receives a piece of the soundtrack sales, which we didn't know before, as well as music publishing fees for certain songs on the thing. Merchandising rights, however, belong solely to Netflix. So when Robert Meyer Burnett is wearing Rumi's jacket, you know that Netflix got that money.
That's going there.
And I want Hot Toys figures.
And Hot Toys figures. Which they're moving on that right now. Hot Toys.
I mean, I have a shelf, a 12 scale or a 6 scale band. I have like Freddie Mercury
That's
and
right,
Prince.
yes.
I would put the K-pop Demon Hunters on that shelf.
You would put them in there with them. I mean, they would look great. So look, Sony actually did pretty well with the deal. And again, one of these days, we're going to have to start talking about Sony's position and catching up or maybe surpassing Pixar. Because like when you look at the last number of projects that Sony has done, Sony Animation has done, you're talking about Mitchell's versus the Machines. You're talking about the 2 best Spider-Man movies ever made, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now you're talking about the #1 film of all time on Netflix, K-pop Demon Hunters. The folks at Sony are doing something right when it comes to their animation. But as well as they made out, they're going to be looking for something maybe a little bit more favorable. Maybe they'll be trying to talk Netflix into doing something theatrical first.
That's what I would think. That's
with
what I would.
Some revenue split there. And by the way, if you're Netflix, this becomes a little bit more appealing because Sony comes to you and says, we want more money this time. And we would like a little bit of a theatrical release. If I'm Netflix, and I'm not, but if I were, that is very appealing to me. Why? Because it presents me an opportunity to give Sony more money without it costing me anything.
Yep.
Oh, Sony, you want an extra $20 million than you got last time? And you want a limited theatrical release first? Well, the limited theatrical release would pay that extra $20 million and it wouldn't cost me a red cent. Sure. Okay. Yeah, let's do it. I mean, if you can find a way in a negotiation to give the other side what they want without it costing you anything, why not do it? Well, again, Netflix is pretty stupid, so they may not do it, but to me, it seems pretty appealing.
If I was Sony, I'd say I want a 45-day theatrical window. Whatever we make's ours, because we're paying for the marketing.
Netflix would never agree to that.
Well, they might not, but
but a split, but some kind of a revenue.
But
split.
I would say that, but I would say it's still a risk to release this movie on 4,000 screens or something with a big marketing budget is still a risk, and Sony's going to lay out $50 million or something, $25 to $50 million to market this. That's a lot of money, and that marketing benefits Netflix.
By the way, they would, because of the viral nature of K-pop, they wouldn't even have to put up the traditional amount of money for marketing. They could probably put up $20 million for marketing.
Could be.
And reap the benefits of a $70 million campaign.
I mean, dude, they should put an announcement trailer in theaters now. Coming 2026. December 2026. You think Dr. Doom's seen anything yet? Dr. Doom hasn't seen them. And all of a sudden they bust out some musical number. Come on. They could come for all movies.
Yeah, I just think there is a way here. There's very rarely in negotiations, everybody says it's a win-win. Very rarely is it a win-win. But I think this poses an opportunity for both Sony and Netflix to truly get a win-win out of this. Maybe it's theatrical, maybe it's not, maybe it's something else. Netflix is pretty stubborn when it comes to theatrical, no matter how much their own data shows them that they're being stupid. But I think there is really something here that could present both of them a very lucrative opportunity. And it's going to be exciting to see what they cobble together. And I hope the second movie is better than the first. I don't know if it'll be as successful, but even if it's only 60% as successful as the first one, it's going to be a massive hit. So anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Sony, and according to the Hollywood Reporter, Sony and Netflix are now engaged in negotiations and trying to figure out how they're going to make a sequel to K-Pop Demon Hunter. Of course, they can't make the movie without each other. That's just the nature of their agreement. Sony can't do it without Netflix, and Netflix can't do it without Sony. So I'm sure they're going to come to some kind of arrangement. How would you arrange it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? 2026 has got a lot of exciting cinema coming up next year, and we're getting closer and closer to it. We're already more than halfway through 2025. 2026 is coming up pretty quick. And there was an interesting article put out in, I think it was The Direct a while ago, kind of going over the 9 films that Disney and their various studios are putting out in 2026 alone. Disney's got 9 films coming out in theaters. So I thought it might be fun for us for a moment to kind of quickly go over what those 9 films are. And then we're going to rank them how we would look at them in terms of how excited we are for each one, our anticipation list, if you will. So before we do rankings of anticipation, let's go through what those 9 films are that Disney has got coming out in 2026. And we're going to put these out in order of them being released. So the first one up, this one sounds kind of fun to me because of Sam Raimi. A film called Send Help is coming out in January 30th, 2026. Kicking off Disney's confirmed 2026 slate is Send Help, a survival horror film directed by Sam Raimi Set to be released by Disney's 20th Century Studios, the January flick will focus on the survivors of a plane crash and stars good Canadian girl Rachel McAdams, Chris Pang, Dylan O'Brien, and everybody's second favorite TV president, only behind the West Wing, Dennis Haysbert. This sounds good to me, so I'll tell you where I put that on my ranking list. All right. Coming out from Disney's Pixar, Hoppers, on March 6th of 2026. Pixar is looking to deliver not one, but two films in 2026, with Hoppers being an all-new original feature. According to the studio, Hoppers will follow animal lover Mabel, who uses new technology that allows humans to hop human consciousness into robotic animals. By the way, this is a shared cinematic universe with Alien Earth, to communicate with actual animals. Listen, I don't like the sounds of this movie. The trailer was surprisingly good. Looks way better than Elio did.
Well, there you go.
Looks way better than
Do they
Elio
use
did.
Sammy Davis Jr.'s talk to the animals in the trailer?
I'm sure they do.
Be a missed opportunity if they don't use it in the movie. All right. Third one up that I'm sure many of you not heard of, but this looks interesting too. The Dog Stars, coming out on March 27th by Ridley Scott. Another release from 20th Century Studios. The Dog Stars is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi film based on Peter Heller's 2012 novel, centers on a pilot named Hig, played by Jacob Elordi, who some people are speculating might be the next James Bond, who is surviving a global pandemic in an airplane hangar with his dog and a gunman played by Josh Brolin. And again, it's being directed by Ridley Scott, and it's not a small budget film. It's a $100 million budget film. So that sounds interesting. All right. Next, in May 5th, 2026, The Devil Wears Prada 2. And you know what? I came home the other night. I was out with some friends, and Anne was cuddled up on the couch with our dog Dune, and she had just started watching the first Devil Wears Prada again. So I'm like, you know what? I like this movie. I'm going to sit down and watch it with her. Devil Wears Prada is a really good film.
It is good.
I know that's not the typical guy thing to say. It's a really good film. It just really is. Get us around the, I don't give a shit about fashion or anything like that. Take all that out of it. It's a really good film with really great dialogue, good characters. It's funny. It's warming in places. It's quite dramatic in others. And you got the street monster in it. And so I watched that. I have not been paying attention to Devil Wears Prada 2, but I watched the first one again with Anna. All of a sudden, I'm like, I'm looking forward to seeing The Devil Wears Prada 2. So that one looks pretty good. So that's coming out on May 5th. Next one up, on May 22nd, The Mandalorian and Grogu. John Favreau is bringing the TV show to the big screen. Again, I don't think it's going to do all that well, but I will never count out our boy, John Favreau. He can deliver the goods when it's on the line, so let's see what happens with that. All right, next up, June 19th, Toy Story 5. Rob, never fails. When they announced Toy Story 2, all I kept hearing from everybody is, they're going to ruin Toy Story, leave it alone. And then they did Toy Story 2. Oh, became the first 100% critically rated film on Rotten Tomatoes that stood for years and years and years. Then when they announced Toy Story 3, everybody said, they're going to ruin it. Leave Toy Story alone. Well, then they made number 3 anyway, and I think it's the best one of the bunch. Then they announced Toy Story 4, to which everybody said, they're going to ruin it. Leave Toy Story alone. And while it was not as good as Toy Story 3, I thought Toy Story 4 was really good, and it made a shit ton of money. And so sure enough, when they said they're going to do a Toy Story 5, everybody once again said, they're going to ruin it. But you know what? At this point, guys, they're not going to ruin it. They're going to make a great film because they always do. And it may not be as good as Toy Story 3. That's fine. I think it's going to be really good. But anyway, that's coming out on June 19th. Then, July 10th, can you smell what The Rock is cooking as the live action Moana comes to theaters? A lot of people forget, I think they've wrapped production on it already. So about little under a year from now, the live action Moana is coming. I'm not gonna lie to you. I love Moana. I didn't love Moana 2. It was all right, but I love the first one. I am very, very interested in seeing how well they're going to be able to translate this into live action. We'll see. All right. Second to last, December 18th, 2026, Avengers Doomsday. That, quite frankly, from this image, looks like Temu Avengers, but whatever. Avengers Doomsday is coming on December 18th, 2026.
Of all the images they could have gone with.
That's the one they went with. And then finally, also scheduled to come out on the same day as Avengers Doomsday. I have a feeling this is going to move, but Ice Age 6 is currently there on the list. All right, so that's the 9 films that Disney has coming out. So I'm going to give you in my order of anticipation. I'm going to start from the bottom. We'll work it up to the top.
All right.
At the very bottom, obviously, is Ice Age 6. I don't know what they're thinking. Why are you even bothering me? Does anybody care about Ice Age anymore? Anyway, Ice Age 6 clearly down at the bottom. All rest of the next 8, I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So down in the number 8 spot, Dog Star. I mean, look, with Ridley Scott, this looks really this sounds really interesting to me. Listen, I would have it higher on the list, but other than The Martian, Ridley Scott's track record, I'm not even a big fan of Gladiator 2, to be honest with you.
Right.
Ridley Scott's track record, and I hated his Napoleon. And anyway, I would have
it's all about the counselor, John.
Oh, God.
The extended version of the counselor is awesome.
But I'm still looking forward to this. Dog Star at number 8. At number 7, Hoppers. Again, it just looks way better than Elio did. Like, how good it's going to end up being, I don't know, but it already looks 5 times better than Elio. So Hoppers looks better than I thought. Let's see, where am I at? At number 6, Devil Wears Prada 2. I would have had this lower on my list if the other week I didn't sit down and watch the original again, but I'm going to say my number 6 most anticipated out of these is Devil Wears Prada 2. At number 5, Mandalorian and Grogu. I can't believe I do not have a Star Wars project higher on the list than this, but it is what it is. Season 3 was a disappointment. I don't know why the first movie in 7 years we're going to get is a TV show episode, but it's still Star Wars, so I've got it as high as number 5. At number 4, I'm very curious to see this live action Moana, man. Like, maybe it'll be terrible. I am just from a visual point of view, I'm fascinated to see how they pull this off. So I got Moana at number 4. At number 3, Send Help. Sam Raimi, Rachel McAdams, Dylan O'Brien, a plane crash survivor horror film. Okay, I am all sorts. If it wasn't for the next 2 films, I would have had this at number 1. But I have to put in front of it at number 2, Toy Story 5. Toy Stories have never disappointed. Some have been world-class all-time great. Some have just been great, but they've all been great. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're doing with Toy Story 5. And then, of course, despite the fact Marvel has lost steam, it doesn't matter. Avengers Doomsday is my most anticipated on the list. So that's how I got. So once again, at number 9, Ice Age 6. At number 8, Dog Star. At number 7, Hoppers. At number 6, Devil Wears Prada 2. At number 5, The Mandalorian. At number 4, Moana. At number 3, Send Help. At number 2, Toy Story 5. And at number 1, my obvious most anticipated movie coming out of Disney Studios next year is Avengers Doomsday. Rob, how would you rank these films in order of your most anticipated?
Well, first of all, I would go pretty similar to yours, but I would put all animated films behind live action.
Okay.
You know, not because I'm prejudiced against animated movies, but I would go, first of all, Ice Age is my number 9. Then I would say that Hoppers probably. Then
Toy Story?
Toy Story, yeah. So what does that take us down to? That's
that now
7,
takes
8.
you, that's 9, 8, and 7.
So then I go to Devil Wears Prada. Then I would go to, and now I guess I'd have to go back up the scale.
So that Devil Wears Prada is your number 6.
6, 5 is going to be, so I would say Dog Star.
Okay.
The 5. Number 4 is going to be, like you, I would say now I don't know what's left.
We got Avengers Doomsday. We can bring up the link.
Yeah, Avengers Doomsday is number 1.
Right.
Number 2 is going to be Send Help.
Okay, so you got sent a little higher than I do.
Yeah, number 3 is going to be Send Help. I guess number 4 would be Dog Star, only because it's Ridley Scott, and I do like Ridley Scott, even though he doesn't do great.
Just because he doesn't do great.
No, great. Number 4 would be what? Would be Devil Wears Prada. Number 5 would be Moana.
Got it.
And I think that's where we're at.
And I think you listed off every single movie on the list.
Yeah,
All right, guys. Question is for you.
Brandon's already sent me a tweet. Animation is just as good as live action.
There's some really good looking stuff that Disney is coming out next year with their various studios. How would you rank in order of your anticipation for the 9 films that are coming? Jump down into the comments below and leave your rankings there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? I generally don't like talking about TMZ nonsense, the little gossip stuff, but sometimes if it's directly tied into a big and important upcoming movie that could maybe have an impact on some big upcoming movie, the streams cross and we do talk about it a little bit. You guys remember a story dropped a week ago, little less than a week ago, that there was some kind of massive blow up fight on the set of Avengers Doomsday. It got so bad that the parties involved had to be separated. The studio, they said, intervened to try to look at, do we need to rearrange our entire shooting schedule? We'll continue doing the movie, but we'll make sure these individuals don't have to be in a scene together. We'll rework all the stuff we got to do. And that eventually, cooler heads prevailed and everybody said bygones. Then the big dominant thing that started going around everywhere you look was that the 2 people involved in that fight were Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Reynolds.
I knew it. I called it. I said, of all the people.
And that just everywhere you go, it's a Mandela effect, Rob. Everywhere you go, it's just understood. Yeah, everybody knows that there was this big fight on the set of Avengers and that the 2 people involved were Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Reynolds. All right. There's a couple of things we need to address. All right. And I am simply communicating what has been communicated to me. Now, the original story came from one place, and that was our friend John Roca. John Roca was the one who reported that there was a big disruption on the set of Avengers Doomsday. Now, listen, and Roca never said he was on set and saw it. That's what was communicated to him, right? And let me be clear. If John Roca says that's what he was told, take that to the bank. That's what he was told. So I'm not questioning John Roca at all. If he's saying that this is what he was told, then that's what he was told 100%. However, I have been communicated with by somebody very close to the production of Avengers Doomsday that a couple things. Number one, it's been way exaggerated.
Right.
What I was told by somebody, again, very closely connected to the production of this movie, was that there was a momentary bit of tension on set and was immediately settled. It never turned into some massive blow up that everybody's talking about, that there was some big, huge drama and the studio intervened and blah, blah, blah. Again, what I was told was, oh yeah, like any production where there's 1,000 people working 20 hours a day, there was a momentary like tension, sort of like, what?
So it wasn't,
and then like a minute later, it was done. It was like completely resolved.
Yeah.
And the reason that Disney hasn't talked about it is because they didn't want to give it any air. It's like, it was literally nothing. So I believe that, you know, the original source of the story was told that, but I think what they got told was apparently was really blown out of proportion. That's the first thing. The second part was that the tension took place between Ryan Reynolds and Robert Downey Jr. As I told you guys the other day, this came up because somebody asked a question. So this wasn't one of our topics, but somebody asked the question on the show and I said, guys, I can already tell you right now, Ryan Reynolds hasn't even been on the set of Avengers Doomsday. I'm not saying he hasn't since. I'm not saying he never will. I'm not saying he will either. But I can tell you that as of the time that this incident happened, I can tell you that Ryan Reynolds had never been on the set of Avengers Doomsday. So this whole thing about there was some big blow up between Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Reynolds is clearly fraudulent. It's not true at all. Following that up, People magazine is also now reporting this. They're reporting, yeah, we can tell you that Robert, this is what People magazine is saying, and I alluded to this the other day myself, but People magazine is now backing it up. They're reporting that Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Reynolds have never met in person. They've never met in person. I think the only public exchange I've been able to see, I'm not saying there isn't more, I'm saying the only one I've been able to find, was that back when Ryan Reynolds and Robert Downey Jr. were in the Russo brothers fantasy football league, Robert Downey Jr. at one point said to Ryan Reynolds on a public social media thing, "Bite me," to which Ryan Reynolds responded with a video of him having a Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes cookie and eating it. That was years ago. To the best of my knowledge, that's the only kind of interaction I think the two of them have had publicly. So once again, this is a great example, Rob, of if it bleeds, it leads, right? Of things getting, when something's negative, it'll spread like wildfire. And again, I'm not saying there won't, I don't know if Doomsday is going to be any good. I don't know this, that, or the other thing, but I do know, and what I can tell you is that the report of the big blow up on the set of the Avengers has been way over exaggerated. That's what's communicated to me. And secondly, it was absolutely, whatever tensions there were between a couple of people on the set, it was absolutely not Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Reynolds, because the two of them have never met, and Ryan Reynolds has never even been on the set of Doomsday as of when that happened. So anyway, again, Rob, if this was a story about how two people met on the set of Doomsday and became instant best friends, it wouldn't have spread like wildfire over the internet. No, because everybody likes negative stories. But anyway, you see this, hear this. Well, what have you been hearing? Or
there's that other story about how there was somebody else in the Doom suit, and Robert Downey Jr. wanted to he wasn't in the suit, but he saw footage and he wanted to reshoot that stuff, so they have to reshoot 3 weeks worth of material. I'm like, I don't believe that either.
Yeah, no, that's.
I just don't believe, because the thing is, that's not how movies. You don't allow 3 weeks of shooting to happen and then go back and I don't like the way it looked. You would look at the dailies of day one in the edit bay, and now with digital footage, I just don't believe any of this mishigas that you hear, because especially on a movie like this where so much money is at stake. I mean, there's got to be. It's kind of like. Do you remember back in the olden times when Jimmy C was making Titanic? There was all this horrible press. And a lot of it,
I remember that.
It was so difficult to make that movie. And
it was a very expensive movie at the time.
Hugely expensive, huge. But there was all, and look, Jimmy C, we know, he likes things done his way. Life's abyss and then you dive. All that kind of stuff, I get it. But there's always, on large productions like this, I can't imagine. This movie has got to be like directing. It's got to be like Herding Cats. Oh, when you get all of these personalities on set, I can't even imagine if the Russo brothers get one shot off. I was doing the documentary for The Usual Suspects, and you can see online the 5 suspects when they were shooting the lineup.
Right.
It's a very famous story, but it's very true because I saw all the footage when they couldn't keep. It was supposed to be a very serious thing. Give me the keys, and
give me the keys.
And they didn't get a shot off. They couldn't. They were trying to make. Somebody was farting, and they were kidding people, So what they did, what John Ottman and Bryan Singer did when they put that together, was they used all that unrelenting, as Kevin Spacey called it, unprofessionalism, and they made a scene where all these guys are cracking up as an FU to the cops. So they used this thing.
They intercut it.
They intercut it
brilliantly, by the way.
Brilliantly. Yeah. John Ottman did a brilliant job. That was only 5 people. I can't imagine, with all the personalities, if all the X-Men are fighting all the Avengers. I don't know what's happening in this movie. I have no idea. But I can't even imagine them getting a shot off. So the fact that this is the only thing we've heard from this set months into production, I would imagine every day it's just a festival of comedy. I'm surprised the Russo brothers haven't quit. I am surprised Kevin Feige hasn't walked away. I mean, the fact that we haven't heard more out of this, it proves to me that it has to be going well.
I understand why people, like so many people have been writing in and asking me about it. I get it, because this is, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say, maybe up there with Avatar 3 or whatever, as the biggest upcoming film in the entertainment world that's coming. And if there was a lot of tension and fighting and whatever on set, that could affect the movie. I get it. So I completely understand why people have asked the question. And you're right, because especially when you're talking about a movie, you know, Rob, you bringing that up, it makes it a miracle. The fact that we've never heard about any discord or whatever on sets of like Captain America, Civil War, or Avengers, Infinity War, or whatever. Like when you're talking about the sheer number of people, the sheer number of personalities, dare we say, if you're going to be an actor in this business, you got to have a certain degree of ego. So the number of egos on these sets and stuff like that, the fact that they seem to have gone as smoothly as possible is kind of remarkable.
Well, also, we're talking, is this going to be, so Fantastic Four was the 37th MCU movie. So that means that Spider-Man No Way Home is going to be the 38th. Doomsday is 39, and Secret Wars is 40. There might be one in between.
Unless there's one that comes out in between them.
I can't imagine that the amount of money, this is also, these two movies have to be combined the most expensive film project of all time, even adjusted for inflation. So these people, they don't have time to play. You know, I'm sure there's not a lot of shenanigans happening because everybody's got to be professional on these sets because nobody would put up with it. The amount of money that's being spent, I'm sure the big problem is figuring out the script. Rewrites. I believe that rewrites are happening, that it's very iterative, and it's got the pressure cooker environment from the creative standpoint has got to be driving the actors a little bit mad, but I don't think it's coming from the actors. I think it's coming from trying to get the script right, you know, Marcus or McFeely, which I think it's McFeely. It's got to be, I can't even imagine the pressure on the set, but I don't think it's coming from the actors.
Yeah. All right, guys. Question is for you. I mean, you probably saw all the stuff that was running around, and it came from one place, but I think it's all been pretty thoroughly debunked at this point. But what's your takeaway from this? How big of a deal do you think it would be if there was like warring of the roses going on over at the set? Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. We've come to that part of the show now, which is, of course, the most important part, which is taking your topics and questions you guys have sent in to us. But before we do a couple things, want to bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, Rob.
Adieu.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, you will.
And before we get on to the questions, we're also going to take a quick moment here and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends over at the Wednesday Wocast. Hey guys, John here. If you're dying for the next batch of Wednesday Season 2 to drop on Netflix, then I'll let you in on a secret. The Wednesday Season 2 official Wocast is already here. Prepare to dive deeper into the mysteries of Wednesday with the ultimate companion video podcast. Join the frightfully funny Caitlin Riley, along with her producer, Thing, as she sits down with the marvelous cast and crew. Together, they'll unravel shocking twists, dissect the dynamics lurking beneath, unearth the deep Addams Family lore, and answer all of your lingering questions that simply refuse to stay buried. Guests include Emma Myers, Joy Sunday, Steve Buscemi, Fred Armiston, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and of course, Jenna Ortega. With 8 delightfully dark episodes to devour, you'll be drawn deeper into the haunting halls of Nevermore Academy than ever before. But be careful, you know where curiosity often leads. The Wednesday Season 2 official Wocast is available now in audio and video on todoom.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you find your podcasts. You've been warned. All right, guys, with that all down, let's move on to the important stuff, your topics and questions. So, Jonathan, what we got up first?
First up, your Orlando Informer. Even though the movie releases have been a little light lately, my AMC has been putting out some great releases. In the past 2 weeks, I've seen Riff Track's version of Time Cop.
Oh, my God, Time Cop.
The 40, which actually, it was a good concept. The 40th anniversary of Clue. which is awesome because I don't know if you know this, but they actually released on 3 different days the 3 different endings.
The 3 different versions of it.
Yeah. With original random ending and Jaws the 50th. Seeing that tomorrow.
I got it. You know what? Thank you for reminding me. I still have not bought my tickets or made plans to go see the Jaws 50th. I've never seen Jaws on the big screen. I definitely want to take advantage of that while it's out now.
Try to get in the IMAX because they're doing it.
And you know, it's really cool as we're doing the movie meetup stuff. Like the fact we're going to get to see The Thing. I've never seen The Thing on the big screen. So we're going to get to do that. The fact that I'm going to get to see Two Towers on the big screen again. I love it when they do stuff like this. All right. What's next?
Okay. Orlando, he... or she, I'm not sure, follows up. I'm glad to hear you're thinking about coming to Orlando for one of your meetups. The best location for you guys would be the theater, my theater, AMC Disney Springs. Parking that fits the camper, and your park the camper at Fort Wilderness Campground and take the bus.
What will probably happen when we do come to Orlando, and we are going to come to Orlando, and I love Disney Springs, by the way. I visited there when we were at Star Wars Celebration that was in Orlando, and I loved it. I love Disney Springs. Anyway, we will probably park at a RV resort in Orlando, and we'll probably just Uber into the theater. That's probably what we'll do there. But we are really looking forward to going there. And actually, you know, we're going to spend several days in Orlando when we go, because Anne really wants to go to the new, what do they call that collection of parks where they got the new Harry Potter, they've got the How to Train Your Dragon, they've got the, whatever it's called, Epic Universe.
Epic, yes.
Yeah. Anne really wants to go to see that Epic Universe thing, particularly the Harry Potter one. So when we go to Orlando, we're probably gonna spend a couple of days there. All right, what's next?
We got the Hanser. I've seen Superman 5 times. I'm still confused why Lex's goon who was holding Joey in the opposite cell didn't do anything when Rex took away the kryptonite and started making the sun. The goon had ample time to harm Joey and see what they're doing.
Well, I think the two things that are really important to keep in mind there is, number one, would he even know what Molecule Man was doing? Does random goon over there know that Superman draws his power from a yellow sun? Would he even know until that big burst of light happened that he was even trying to mimic the creation of a sun? Remember, he can't hear what's going on in that cell. He's just over there holding the baby and whatever. And hey, maybe, I mean, who knows if you even saw that he turned off the kryptonite in his hand. Anyway, so all that is to the side. And then really, what would he have had the time to do? By the time the sun actually flashed and Superman's up, he's then looking up, punching out the glass and finding a cross. So I mean, I've got a couple of issues with the movie. I love the movie overall, but I have a couple of issues with it. But I never thought that was a questionable one myself. All right, what's next?
He also might have calculated that if I do this, I'm dead.
Yeah. If I'm going to have these two superpowered beings that are going to come over here and rip out my eyes. All right, what's next?
Brian O'Connor. Hey, crew, was thinking about which director has directed the most Oscar wins for Best Actor. I can think of Darren Aronofsky for Natalie Portman and Brandon Fraser. Also Tarantino for Christoph Waltz and Brad Pitt. Any director with more than 3 wins?
More than 3 wins for... That's a good one. I would have to... That's a good question.
I would have felt like Scorsese would have been in there, that running, but maybe not.
I'm going to look this up. I'm just going to see here. That's a really good question because I want to say Steven Spielberg, but I can't remember off the top of my head which ones have. So I've got a list here. Let's David O. Russell. He had Christian Bale win Best Supporting Actor and Melissa Leo win Best Supporting Actress, and Silver Linings Playbook, Jennifer Lawrence for Best Actress. Now, did she win that or was she just nominated? I can't remember. Woody Allen had Michael Caine for Supporting Actor, Diane West for Actress, Clint Eastwood. Oh yeah, Clint Eastwood had Sean Penn for Best Actor, Tim Robbins, Best Supporting Actor, $1 Million Baby, Hilary Swank for Best Actress, and Morgan Freeman for Best Supporting Actor. So that's 4 right there for Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, she won her Oscar for Silver Linings.
Okay, so she did that. Elia Kazan for A Streetcar Named Desire had like 1, 2, 3, had 4 wins too. It's a really good question. There's a couple of names for you. So Clint Eastwood has had a number of his performers win Oscars. Woody Allen has had a couple as well. Yeah, so I want to go through. I want to find out how many Spielberg has had. Because Spielberg has like a mountain of Best Picture nominations, but how many of his actors in those movies have won their Oscars?
Yeah.
I have to look into that. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got TFL. The way I see it, a movie star is someone who has a specific persona. Will Smith, The Rock, Jim Carrey, Tom Cruise, Schwarzenegger, Eddie Murphy. These actors are always accursed of playing themselves, but that's what made them box office stars.
Partially, yes. Yeah.
But they can break out, and they The Rock is breaking out with Smashing Machine. Jim Carrey certainly has broken out of that mold.
Yeah, Jim Carrey. Like, I think Jim Carrey became a movie star when he was no longer playing himself, right? There were always elements of himself, but any good actor brings part of their own DNA into the character they're playing.
Yeah.
Like some guys like Will Smith and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson are definitely larger than life personalities. But like on Will Smith is also a world-class actor.
Yeah. The Pursuit of Happiness, I didn't see like that. I wasn't seeing like Independence Day Will Smith and Pursuit of Happiness.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. And then what was the one? Not 6 pounds, 7 pounds? Is that what it was called?
Oh, I know.
I didn't think the movie was great, but he was great in it. And now we got Dwayne Johnson. So I think true movie star has to transcend just personality. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson may be an exception to that. But again, I mean, Will Smith has been an Oscar-nominated actor ever since Ali. Jim Carrey really started to be seen as a true movie star once he started bringing in a little bit more of the dramatic into what he was doing. So I think it's a combination of a bunch of things. All right, what's next?
Blake, I'm excited for Doomsday, but very nervous also because mainly I hate the multiverse stuff and also generally think the Secret Wars storyline is kind of dumb, especially the 84. How dare you? Hoping that first trailer changes my mind.
Look, everybody who watches the show knows I hate multiverse stuff. I think it is the ultimate, it and time travel are the ultimate lazy man's writing tools. Because, again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. There is no problem in any movie ever that can't be solved with time travel. Even a World War II movie, if you brought in time travel, you could fix any problem that's there. And multiverse just takes away any consequences. That being said, there are time travel movies that I think break the mold and are really quite great. The two I often bring up are Back to the Future, Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. So I hate time travel movies generally, but that's not to say there aren't some great time travel movies. I hate multiverse in general, but that's not to say there aren't some great multiverse movies. With this being the big conclusion of their multiversal saga, I think they're going to find a way to do it really well. And then hopefully be done with this effing multiverse bullshit that has completely dominated all comic book movies. I love Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, but they're doing multiverse. Flash was all multiverse. MCU movies are all, it's time to get past the damn multiverse bullshit and get back to some really good storytelling. But again, that's not to say that they can't go out on a real high note with it. And I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that they do. All right, what's next?
Matan says, do you think it's okay for the New Republic to have a security bureau, an actual thing in canon, or is it too close to the ISB? If anything, it failed to do its job to protect liberal democracy from the First Order and the centrists in the Senate. Little Star Wars deep dive there.
Well, I mean, look, any government has to have its own version of that, right? But the rise of the First Order, I think that's more of a military issue than anything else. Don't even get me going.
I still don't understand how the First Order could have developed all those ships and had the manufacturing to do so. Whatever.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Now, look, I am somebody who loves The Force Awakens. I'll debate anybody on that, and I'll win handily. I love that movie. Not that you have to love it. It's all subjective, of course. The Last Jedi started losing the momentum, and then you ended up with that pile of garbage that was The Rise of Skywalker. But even in the movie that I liked, there are some pretty big question marks, man. There's some pretty big question marks. Anyway, all right, what's next?
just real quick. Well, Paul, I get what you're saying with recycled Empire ships, but like, that can't be the end of the discussion. Oh, they just recycled all the destroyed ships. Like they're still manufacturing.
That would almost be a bigger undertaking than just building them from scratch.
And they'd have to collect it from all over the galaxy, and then
Yeah, that's a huge operation, man. Huge operation. Anyway.
We got. Oh, that's okay. Hang on. What happened here? Oh, did it bump? Oh, I'm sorry. This stupid thing just bumped. Okay. Asmir, regarding your discussion on who best to play Voldemort yesterday, I think Stellan Skarsgård would be great. You can also use Bill.
Too young.
Too old, you mean. You can also use Bill or Alexander Skarsgård as a young, handsome, charming, manipulative. I like the idea that they could play a younger version. I just think Stellan's too old for the...
Yeah, sorry, you're right. It was too old. I think he's a little bit too old because, like, we talked yesterday about somebody who was like in their 60s, like Jeremy Irons. I mean, with the makeup and all that kind of stuff too as well, but I think you got to get somebody British in it for that. So I mean, listen, Stellan Skarsgård is the man. You can put him in just about anything. I don't see him as a fit for Voldemort though. I think you got to get somebody British in there. All right, what's next?
Johnny Got Lost is fun factor in the Scooby-Doo days. James Gunn pitched a Plastic Man movie with Matthew Lillard in the role. I'm betting we'll get Plastic Man eventually, one way or another, probably Justice League.
Yeah, we got to have Plastic Man. Again, if you can have Polka Dot Man and a really compelling Polka Dot Man in it, you got to be able to bring in Plastic Man.
Even Matthew Lillard now is 55. Hey, everyone stop aging, please.
Yeah, you know what's funny? A friend of mine had a movie premiere last year, I believe it was. And I go to the premiere, Ann and I go to the premiere to support my buddy. And as we're in the popcorn line, I realized standing right in front of me in the popcorn line is Matthew Lillard. And he was there with his son, his grown ass teenage son. I'm like, you're not old enough to have a teenage son. Oh, I guess you are. That was kind of depressing, but he was really great. He was super great at that. So he would have made an interesting Plastic Man. I don't think today, but I think he could have made an interesting Plastic Man at one point. All right, what's next?
We got Isaac, who says, did you see the Jackie Chan said his stunt team is working on the Spider-Man brand new day set with the Shang-Chi director? How excited are you looking forward to with the practical swinging and fights compared to the former heavy VFX past films?
I am not one of these people who thinks practical is always better. No, it's not. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. All I care about is at the end of the day, what looks great. And if it's practical, great. If it's VFX, great. That's all that matters. I don't think a practical Josh Brolin in a physical Thanos costume, I am inevitable. I don't think that would have made those movies better. It was much better that it was done VFX and CGI. So some things work better than others. Look, I am a little bit nervous about Spider-Man Brand New Day because it's going to be the first of these Spider-Man movies that's not being directed by John Watts. And he has done a great job with those movies. That is tempered, though, by the fact that it is Destin that's directing it, who did Shang-Chi and did such a great job. And if they are actually working with some of Jackie Chan's stunt team, that can't be anything but a positive thing either. So it's going to be kind of cool to see how this movie comes together. All right, what's next?
King of the Geeks. Since you did the Who Should Play Voldemort segment, and one of those actors you mentioned was Jeremy Irons, I think Irons would make a much better Snape. Also, if they were to gender swap Voldemort, I think Minnie Driver could do it. What do you think? Well, I think Snape was too young for that role. Snape is generations younger than Voldemort and Dumbledore, and so he would be too old for Snape.
Yeah, now, granted, like Jeremy Irons is 76 years old. Now, this is where I get into a big argument with people that I win. I win this argument, obviously. But, you know, the actor they have playing Snape in the new TV series is a black actor, which, again, the race, the ethnicity of Snape never becomes a narrative point of issue, ever. It's never a story point about his ethnicity, ever, in the books, at all. But some people will then argue, well, why don't you stay true to the books? It's like, well, it's interesting that you're complaining about this. Did you like Alan Rickman as Snape? Yeah, Alan Rickman was great. Alan Rickman was the man. He's the guy. Okay. So you liked Alan Rickman as Snape? Yeah. But I thought you wanted them to stay true to the books. Because in the books, and it is a story point in the books, Snape is supposed to be in his early 30s. Alan Rickman was literally decades older than what the character was supposed to be. He was in his mid 50s when he first shot the first Harry Potter movie. So pray tell, I'm just curious, why is it so important that they just stick literally to the books when it's not an important story point and we're just talking about the pigmentation color of his skin, versus that guy who played him before was literally decades too old to play the character. But that was fine. By the way, I love Alan Rickman as Snape. I thought he was great. So there's that whole kind of thing. But I mean, Jeremy Irons at 76 years old playing Snape, who's supposed to be a contemporary of Harry's parents.
Right.
It's that, I mean, that becomes very narratively problematic.
You're 3 decades beyond.
Yeah. Now you're talking decades and decades and decades and decades beyond. I think that just becomes a little bit problematic. All right. What's next?
Anonymous says, did you see the Month of Masterpieces series Regal announced today? Crazy list of films. Cinema Paradiso. I will cry. I love Cinema Paradiso.
You know, I heard that they were doing it, but I haven't seen the full list myself. But
AMC was doing it earlier in the summer, and now Regal's doing it.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to take a look, see what the full listing is, but I've heard some pretty good ones around there.
It's extensive.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Joe, hey, John and Rob, if he's still there. He's not, unfortunately, but I wanted to know your thoughts on DC or Marvel doing a show. And instead of streaming, putting them in theaters, pretty much like how The Chosen did for their episodes. Thanks, have a good day.
Terrible idea.
I just don't think it would work.
Nope, terrible idea. Never work. Because, I mean, number one, it's just not how people go to the movies. Not en masse and not in general. It's not how people do it. Plus, you could do that and put the production budget into it and all that kind of stuff. But then if the first episode isn't good, well, then everything else falls apart. And with a full movie, well, everybody's there for the full movie, whether it's good or not. And so, no, I just don't see that ever being a real model that they could do. All right, what's next?
Anonymous, there were some conversations last week over Harry Potter's HBO similarities to the film's design. Now, Chris Columbus criticized the same thing this morning. What's the point? He says, thoughts? I wonder if they're going for a here it is again, but with more scenes angle.
Okay, I love Columbus. Okay, I do. I really do. So I say this with all due respect. But what the fuck are you talking about?
They can't change the story like completely.
So they should never tell the story of Julius Caesar again? Yeah. They should never. New eras bring opportunities for new iterations of a story. And I'm sorry, if you don't see how different it can be taking a book and do it over the course of 7 hours of screen time, as opposed to the 2 hours and something minutes that you had to do in the movie, if you don't recognize the world of more things you can explore and dive into, which will add more context and color to the scenes that we're going to recognize and know, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, this is, and we're talking decades since those movies came out, man. Decades since the movies came out. To tell a new iteration in a brand new way with many, like, instead of, we're going to get, when it's all said and done, like 50 to 60 hours.
Much, yeah.
Of this story being told, as opposed to like the 15 hours we got before.
And the complaint is that it looks too close to the set design of the movies. I mean, is it supposed to be cyberpunk? I mean, what is it supposed to look like?
Yeah, again, what's the point? Tell a new version of the story in a way that is still faithful to the story, but tells it in a different and a new, unique way. And the very format of this, the fact that it's being a television series on the best television producers in the world, by the way, with HBO, it's inherently different. It's going to create its own unique experience, even if there are a lot of similarities, which you would hope there would be. So I don't know. It's like asking, well, why make another Spider-Man?
The suit always looks the same, or whatever.
Why make another X-Men movie?
Yeah. Because they're the future, John.
Because it's going to be a new experience with the property. I would think that that's self-evident. Anyway. All right. What's next?
I don't know why I'm on a Magneto kick today, but Lorenzo von Matterhorn. I hope that's your real name. One of two. Two movies, both had the same job, breathe life into a pretty much dead franchise with a ruined reputation. Both are pop culture cornerstone icons. Both liked by audiences and critics and deemed successful at changing the narrative and public perception. Here's part two. But The Force Awakens made over 3 times as much as Superman did. I agree Superman wasn't getting and didn't need $1 billion, but to me, for very similar circumstances, that is sizable different outcome. Am I missing something? Because the DCU optimism feels misplaced.
Yeah, you're wildly missing something. The fact that the Star Wars prequels had come out over a decade before that thing, and that looks in Star Wars, you can't compare Star Wars to anything. Star Wars is like, no matter how bad The Rise of Skywalker was, and it was bad, the reality is that around the time I was born, Star Wars cemented itself as the most relevant and biggest and influential pop cultural iconic IP there will ever be. It's Star Wars, period. And that will survive and endure whatever prequel garbage we get, whatever Rise of Skywalker garbage we get, it will survive that. But you're trying to compare something along the lines of like the Star Wars prequels, which, by the way, all made a lot of money. The audience never abandoned them. Like, even if I look over to, I'm going to go over and take a peek at Revenge of the Sith box office, okay? Revenge of the Sith, 2 decades ago, made over $900 million. And that was over 2 decades ago, okay? So you're talking massive amount of a time gulf. With Superman in the DCU, you couldn't be talking about a more different set of circumstances. We literally just had the DCU. Like, breakfast yesterday. And it had been thoroughly run into the ground, and the audience had completely abandoned it. By the time you got into the last 4, 5, or 6 DCEU movies, they were barely making $200 million in today's dollars. You can't compare that to the Star Wars situation, where it had been well over a decade or more since the previous one had, and the audience had still never given up on it, because even the last horrible one back in 2005 was making over $900 million. You can't compare those two scenarios. That's as radically different as saying, well, you know, Barbie made $1 billion at the box office. Why didn't 12 Years a Slave? They're about as much in common as those two scenarios. So no, I get the basics of what you're asking, but you could not have come up with 2 more radically different scenarios and situations and contexts at all. Like, if Star Wars, let's put it this way. If Star Wars had literally put out 5 movies in, what year was it 2016? What year did The Force Awakens come out?
Yeah.
Can you look that up for me?
Yeah.
But if Star Wars had literally put out
I feel like it was
string of 5 movies, let's say in
2015.
Yeah. Okay. If Star Wars had literally put out a string of movies that culminated in 2013, and out of all those final 5 movies, they were all terrible, and none of them made more than like $350 million. Well, then The Force Awakens coming out and making, over $1 billion and more, that becomes something that you can become more comparable. But it's not. These are,
and why do you think,
again, these are radically different scenarios you're pitching, man.
Yeah,
They're
one, why
different.
it's a false comparison, and one, why do you think we're so nervous about Mandalorian and Grogu now?
Yeah.
Because just a little bit ago we had Rise of Skywalker.
See, that's well put, John. That's a much more similar situation. That we've got Mandalorian and Grogu is a much more similar situation to Superman's. But even Mandalorian and Grogu, by the time it comes out, it's going to be 6 or 7 years since the last Star Wars movie. And again, radically different situation.
And then it's completely different corporations, different IP. And then I guess the basis is like, since Star Wars sequels unraveled, we shouldn't be excited for the DCU because it's going to unravel too. But it's not even the same remotely the same people.
So I get the question, but the thing is, you're trying to hold up these are two similar situations. Oh my God, no, they're not. They're completely fundamentally different contexts.
Because the wheat crop fell apart. Shouldn't we be worried about apples?
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, all right, what's next?
Okay, now we get some members here. Oh, well, I should, hey, I'm going to refresh the screen here because I forgot to do so. So just a moment, everybody, as I bring it up. And here we are. Okay. Matt says, hello to the crew on YouTube. Are you guys looking forward to a new Conjuring movie? And what do you think of the first three? The first two are some of my favorite horror films. The third one was disappointing as hell because James Wan didn't direct.
I'd be lying to you if I told you I was excited about it. I don't think the trailers have looked particularly interesting or good. I think, listen, there have been, because it's not just the Conjuring movies, right? It's a Conjuring universe that they have. And there have been a couple that I've really liked and a number that I think have been really bad. But I don't find myself particularly, now the movie might end up being great and I hope it is, and I will go to see it, but I would be lying to you if I told you I was excited about it. I'm not. All right, what's next?
Joe says, hey, John and crew, hope your day is going great, man. That Alien Earth episode was awesome. What did you think about it? We did talk about that. Love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, again, I thought it was I think it's one of my favorite episodes of true sci-fi television in a long time. I thought it was spectacular. All right, one more today, then we're going to wrap it up.
All right, we got here we go. The Robo Producer. Hey, John, longtime follower, brand new member.
Thank you, man.
Love your show. You and Rob are a bright spot in my day. I've been unemployed for 14 months. I'm sorry about that. And through all the muck, I super appreciate your views on movies and life. I saw Batman and Batman Returns at AMC the other night. Do you like Burton films? I personally love Bat 89. And then just follows up. If Nolan returned to direct, thoughts on Bale being DCU Batman and Dark Knight Returns kind of movie. I personally think the trilogy is among my favorite. I just don't think they should mess with a multiversal thing.
No, that will never happen. And Christian Bale's been very definitive about that, and that's never going to happen. As far as the Burton films go, I have a very special place in my heart with the original 89 Batman. It was 89, right? Anyway, because, my friend and I went to go see it. My friend, who was my best friend growing up, died a few years ago. I always have a very special place in my heart. I gotta admit, I've never liked Batman Returns. I mean,
it's interesting. Like, it definitely was not Batman 89 for me. And I felt there was criticisms that Danny DeVito was really trying his best to be, Jack Nicholson with that level of, but then there were other people who say no, because this was Burton's true vision of Gotham. Like, it was even more so and amplified with a bigger budget. And I do agree, but you're right, man. It's hard to beat 89.
Yeah. I can rewatch Batman 89 like every year. I can't sit through Batman Returns again. Despite the fact that, who played Catwoman again?
Oh my God.
Guys in the live chat, who played, she was in Stardust.
Yep.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
My goodness.
Don't know why I froze on that for a second. Like Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. Come on.
Did you ever see that clip where it was behind the scenes and she was using the whip and she was hitting the mannequins, and she actually did it first take with that bullwhip and hit all the mannequins and knocked their heads off?
I have not seen
that.
that.
And then they just started applauding her.
Oh, okay. I'm going to have to look that up. All right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Also, big thanks to Robert Meyer Burnett and to our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
My name's John Campea, and until tomorrow, my friends, bye-bye.